All right, welcome to the 15th episode of SmashCenter, brought to you by myself, Suar, on behalf of PG Stats, Panda Global, and the whole lovely bunch of pandas that is under the PG banner. So welcome. We have a great show packed for you today. Once again, though, if you're in Twitch chat and this is your first time viewing us, welcome. You know, be a part of the chat, be a part of the conversation. If this is on YouTube that you're seeing us, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so that you see the latest updates from SmashCenter on the Panda Global YouTube. So you can go ahead and stay up to date to the latest in Smash Ultimate news, controversies, rankings, and more. We'll be covering a lot of that today, going over through a couple tournaments that we've had this past weekend, and also hyping up some future ones, and getting into some deep down discussion with Coney when he comes on later in the show. But for now, it's Suar, it's PG Stats, it's SmashCenter, and let's go ahead and turn on this mic. Welcome. So, I was rehearsing that bit. Go ahead and make sure if you're on Twitch for the first time that you're being a part of the chat, and making sure that you're tuning into SmashCenter here on Twitch, and if it's on YouTube that you're seeing us for the first time, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so that you can get the latest from us on YouTube when you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, so you can get the latest updates on our YouTube channel, and you know, you get the latest that we have to offer when it comes to Smash Ultimate news, controversies, rankings, and more. Sorry about the technical flub there. We're gonna dive right into the show because we had a great event for us that happened right here in Orlando. So let's just go ahead and get right into it with Come to Papa 3. So Come to Papa 3 featured a wealth of Florida talent. This event was a B tier on the Panda Global rankings for this PGRU coming up at the end of the summer now. WG's MPD won the tournament with Solo Snake over CND Raito. Raito being the duck hunt from Japan. That said, had a lot of results in the beginnings of Smash 4 and towards the end, when he took out his duck hunt over on the East Coast and the West Coast when he participated in a lot of the 2GG events. Hot take, Snake is proving to be mighty consistent at these larger tournaments, and it may seem that many more players are inspired to play him, given how all these players like MVD and the like, such as Ally last week at Pound, have put in the work. Raito's second place finish is very impressive because Duck Hunt has 0 top level representation so far, and Raito really put on a show for all of us at Come to Papa 3. I believe this is only his second regional performance outside of Midwest Mayhem earlier in the game's life. And that was a Midwest Mayhem Ultimate. Midwest Mayhem had about 11 or 12 in the series, if I remember correctly, back in Smash 4, but now in Ultimate they're coming out swinging again. New Days places third, resident Florida Peach main, while his fellow Peach, Samsora, United's own, placed 7th, being upset quite early by the Florida resident Mr. Bones, who played Bowser. If you didn't catch that match, make sure you do. It was insane. Speaking of the upsets, first seed Myron, Armada's own, gets 65th place, having to play Samsora in a top 128 match to advance. Round robin pools are a little bit to blame there, and then he was eliminated by E-King. This represented a huge departure from what many people thought would be the main arc of the tournament, which was going to be Myron and Samsora's potentially in grand finals. That match didn't play out. Samsora actually beat Myron, the first seed, and that turned a lot of heads as they were beefing a little bit on Twitter, just a bit. Florida Pikachu, BXA's Tachyon gets 4th after a strong showing. Tachyon could be a big time threat if he traveled a little bit more. We saw him in Smash 4 as one of the premier NFL Pikachu mains. This time around in Ultimate, we're going to see how he does with Pichu. So far, so good. Dyer and Sonito tie for 5th place. Dyer, a longtime Florida resident, previous Smash 4 Diddy Kong main, and Sonito, a Southeast Georgia resident, Sonic main in Smash 4, still keeping the Sonic strong. Dyer, however, going solo Joker and showcasing just how much the combo potential for this character exists. He plays very well in that top 8. Sonito playing his underrepresented character, Sonic. So far, we haven't seen too many in the top. Players like Komuro Kiri out in the East as well, putting in some work with Sonic, but we haven't seen the representation we used to see, or at least we're used to in Smash 4. He had an excellent run, and yeah, he eliminated Samsora, which is a pretty big deal. Sonic might be a hidden beast, who knows, people are still trying to figure him out. New engine, new mechanics, new winners, new losers. 8-Bit Man, another longtime Florida resident and Brawl veteran as well, playing Rob as well in this iteration of Smash, ties with Samsora for 7th. Big ups to 8-Bit Man, South Florida longtime resident and also longtime pro player now. And it's no secret that he's just as proficient as this game, even though he does often lose to Samsora in the South Florida weeklies. But again, always at the top. So many big names with stellar performances. They still finished right outside of top 8. This tournament was actually really difficult. Japan's Zaki, we had Dath, Scat, Radia, and Goblin all finish outside of top 8, which just tells you how stacked this tournament was. Zaki, of course, being that Japanese day-to-day main that was coming to, you know, sort of like wreck some names, but actually ended up getting a little bit wrecked himself. Although obviously not being in top 8 isn't exactly failure for some of these players, but it was just the expectations people had. Melee Power, Wizrobe puts on a show and gets 17th actually out of 499. One of the best ultimate players from a top melee player side, apart from Leffen that we've seen in the recent past. So that'll do it for Come to Papa. Come to Papa 3, incredible event put on by the beautiful people of CFL, as well as South Florida and some North Florida residents. You got to check it out next time Come to Papa 4 it comes out. But we also had something else happening in the west side, and that's going to be the Goodwill OC Invitational. This is actually pretty cool because it was something that was not necessarily competitive for ranking purposes, but it was definitely a showcase of the rawest talent we have in the scene right now, with names such as Wadi, Light, Void, and the such. This event did not count for the rankings. As such, it was an invitational, which meant that the exclusivity factor kept many people from being able to compete, such as open brackets allow us to do, just like Come to Papa. But if you haven't seen the event, it was awesome. It was reported they raised over $25,000, which is awesome for charity. Smashers always know how to do it. We also remember Smash the Record, which happens also in the Southeast. We might see the return of that, but for right now, this Goodwill charity for the OC was incredible to see, and congratulations to all the players that attended. Void took the gold over Light in a very intense grand finals, and he actually showed us a little bit of Sheik to boot, which we're definitely missing her ever since, you know, the new iteration came out and she wasn't so hot as she was before. That'll cover for Goodwill Charity Invitational, which happened in the West Side, California, OC. And lastly, wanted to bring to your attention what's going to happen very, very soon, and that's the Umebura Japan Major 19. This tournament is already an S tier. It's been capped for weeks now, and it's going to feature Japan's hottest players as well as only 2, I'm counting 2, people from the Western Hemisphere. That's only MKLeo and Cosmos, who managed not only to register but also position themselves to attend this Japanese S tier event. This is the only other S tier event outside the states that have happened thus far. Albion, set for the end of the season, is also predicted to be an S tier, or already is. I haven't checked so far. They're still updating registration. But Umebura Japan Major 2019 is going to be that S tier that also proves to be one of the big jewels on people's player cards that are going to end up decorating everybody at the end of the season. So that's going to happen this weekend. Make sure you check it out. The wonderful people at She Gaming are going to put on a tremendous show, and we might see Cosmos and potentially MKLeo at the top, or potentially drowning right before top 8, since the talent is so intense and so, not inconsistent, but so varied within the Japanese, from mid to high level players being all sorts of threats, as they've proven in the past when they've come to the States, such as Su, Raito, and others when they've come to 2GG events. So that'll cover it for the events that happened this weekend, and the one we're hyping up this weekend that's to come. Wanted to give a small update actually to the PGR and how it's doing right now. This PGR update is going to feature just a little bit of a rundown as to what's going on this season. As you'll see here, we have quite a bit of things going on, and just like I mentioned before, the events that have already happened. So you'll see there, Come to Papa 3 is a B tier. It just happened. We had a couple C tiers this weekend, like Kings of Hali 4, Level Up Expo 2019, and even Region 2019 that happened in Europe. You'll see at the bottom, we have Umebura Japan Major 2019 slated to be an S tier, and the next A tier that's set to come is going to be Canada's own Get On My Level. That's going to be an incredible event run by Toronto Joe and the squad, EMG. That's going to be an event definitely to keep an eye out for, because many people from the United States will be entering this Canadian event, and there are also some internationals as well that are going to come from the east side, potentially the west. So apart from that, keep your eyes open. Albion 4, you'll see at the bottom, still registration open, still people registering. CO 2019, Smash and Splash 5, and MomoCon are all set to start the summer of Smash. So if you haven't bought your tickets yet, if you haven't looked into it yet, please do. It's going to be an incredible start to probably one of the most memorable seasons of Smash Ultimate yet, considering that the game is still fairly new, ranks are still not determined, and this all is going to end and pretty much be the conclusion for the first PGR season. So go ahead and check that out, and we'll go ahead and get started in the show. But again, if this is your first time tuning in on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. It lets you know the latest that's going on the Panda Global YouTube, so you can go ahead and get a head start on that anytime it comes out. Again, sorry about the tech difficulty before. I accidentally had my mic muted, that mic was muted, etc. It happens. But now, joining us for the show, we're going to have Coney join us, and we're going to talk about a couple topics that actually interest us, as well as going into what was this past weekend with Come to Papa 3. So, Coney, how's it been, man? How's everything treating you? How's the weekend been? And just most of all, how are you?
Hey everybody, how's it going? It was nice to have a weekend not with a tournament. Obviously we had Pound last weekend. I feel like I feel like we've been kind of riding the wave. I think the weekend before Pound I was also off, but this week I'm going to be at Thunder, which we'll be talking about after the Thunder Smash Winner Take All event. But yeah, it was nice. It was good. Got to just chill, relax. Xanadu 300 is tomorrow, so
300.
Yep, 300th weekly Xanadu. It's nuts.
When did they start the first? Was that something that came?
I don't know, 300 weeks ago, I guess.
But like Smash 4, not in Brawl?
Well, in Brawl, no, they did stuff before Smash 4, but only for, it was like a very short amount of time. Because they had monthlies at Xanadu for Xanadu. They had monthlies for Brawl at Xanadu. Mm-hmm. And then they had them at weeklies, but I think it really started popping it with PM. It was like Brawl, and then PM, obviously, and then Smash 4. So, yeah, it's been, apparently it's been 300. I don't know how they're really, I don't know how they're counting it, but apparently we're at that number, which is nuts.
That's insane, man. Like, considering, like, a weekly just starting out, and it's got, like, double digits, seeing something even hit 100 is insane, and you guys did it 3 times over.
I will say, Yams, the Xanadu 100 moments did get finished.
I remember that.
It got released very quietly. So for Xanadu 100, they said, okay, here are the top 100 moments that happened at a Xanadu. And they did 20, they did 40, they did 60, and then they were just like, and it took about 2 years for them to finish it. But they eventually did, and yeah,
dude, it's hard.
I don't even know if they released it, but yeah, it's out there.
Sweet. Well,
yeah.
Xanadu 300 coming at you now.
It's nuts. Yeah.
Are you going to tomorrow's? You have to, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be there. I don't think I'm going to enter because that bracket's going to be loaded because a bunch of people are coming. But, I'll go for commentary and stay on the mic pretty much all night.
Are we gonna get the blast on? Are we gonna get the?
Oh hell no! No, TK's down in North Carolina. Phil
That's
might
true.
come. EE might come, and then EE and I can have a block. Probably that's it though. TK
Okay.
is like flying everywhere, so I don't know where he is.
Yeah, he just came from the Invitational, so that is jet lagged. And anytime you travel to California, if you haven't so far, ladies and gentlemen, it's such a drag to come back to the East Coast time. That has got to be the worst. I hate it. I love going to California. I love going west because you gain that time back from the flight that you lost.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, let's jump right in. Glad you're well. Next week, you have that Thunder event we could talk about for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, come to Papa 3. What'd you like? What'd you see? There was kind of a lot happening both with that Invitational and the West because all the really, 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 really big names were there, like Void and Light. But there was plenty that was happening at Come to Papa 3. I mean, being real, we saw like good Joker play from Dyer. We saw Raito, which I didn't expect. MVD take the whole thing. Overall thoughts, overall feelings.
I mean, if we're going to talk about, I guess sort of the obvious parallel is if you guys remember, everything gets compared to Civil War. But if you remember at Civil War, everybody thought it was Zero versus Ally, and it never ended up happening. What we saw this event was supposed to be Samsora versus Myron. Didn't happen. Oh, it did happen a little early, but then it threw off, basically. We expected that to be, in grands. Instead of they were playing first round in winners out of round robin, which is crazy.
I know.
Myron getting eliminated at 65th, I think. Samsora pretty low for his expectation, too. So kind of surprising all around. I think that was the biggest thing.
Man.
Yeah.
Is that best Olimar in the world, AC?
Oh, gosh. According to his Twitter bio, maybe. I think one of the also bigger surprises for me is I saw the set with MVD and Scat. And if you asked me, if you told me that MVD was going to win that tournament, I would have laughed in your face because MVD got mopped by Scat. It was not close.
Dude,
and I thought it might be. I thought it might be because he fought Mars's Mega Man at Pound, and he did pretty good, and Mars had to switch off. But Scat worked him, and maybe that's the nature of like a best of 3 instead of a best of 5. But still, it was not close. But MVD still turning on the boosters and going all the way through the bracket and losers. Really impressive stuff.
Dude, and it's so funny to think that Scat is such an old name when he's not even that much of like an artifact or anything.
No.
But he's one of the original Smash 4 Mega Man Wii Nunchuck players, which I think he had to adopt the Pro Controller now. Maybe we can see it in this VOD. But yeah, he used to do Wii Nunchuck along with Myron, who used to do Wii Nunchuck, along with Pelka, who used to do Wii Nunchuck in Smash 4. Mega
Dude's
Man.
legacy actually even goes beyond that. He was a Brawl Snake.
Sure,
I think.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So yeah, but that's where he got the Wiimote Nunchuck, and that's why he stopped doing it.
Pop off.
Super good player.
Yeah.
Really cool guy. Excellent coach too. Like he's a very good coach.
Yeah, he's also a part of the MVG banner, which it's interesting because like MVG slowly built up this like momentum. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah.
They definitely had a reputation to sort of I don't know what the word is, but like
kind of. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, they so there was like they do events, right? There was the infamous Sandstorm. There was a couple other things, and for a while, like people just had like a bad taste in their mouths when they heard MVG, but. I think that's radically shifted away with more of the stuff they're doing for Ultimate, of course, Mewtwo King doing like a lot of content with them, and Salem, which, I mean, Salem is Salem, but they're pumping out a lot. Like, they're a team that's like continuously working, and I'd like to commend that. But also, Scat's been with them this entire time, which, interesting. Dyer used to be with them as well, if you remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But MVG starting Smash 4, still continuing on. Have some star players, but it seems like they light up when they want to light up, but not all the time.
Yeah, sometimes.
2 snakes though, back to back. A tier now,
Jesus.
B tier. Is VIP Smash full of snakes now? Thoughts?
I've seen a bunch, but you know what the problem is? In my region, I don't know what it is, but my area, I've played with people from, because I play on a burner. Nobody knows who I am. I'm not going online as Coney because I don't want to get that DM. I'm not getting that DM later that's like, LOL, good games from a Samus that's going ledge to ledge and not actually fighting me. My area is like Samus, Snake, Robin that doesn't want to play the game. I have a lot of zoners in this region that just want to like throw projectiles from across the stage. So I haven't seen an uptick in Snake, but I have heard that that's kind of a thing. Yeah.
Which, so
Snake showing up
is
more
it
and
actually
more,
like by your region? Like I guess you all connect to the East Coast servers. It's not just
yes.
like okay, well that's fair.
I don't know if it's a server thing. I think it's just like it prioritizes people close to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You're not going to play someone in like Australia or Japan.
West Coast, yeah.
But by the way, in this VOD right now, MVD is 59% one stock. Scat is at 2, and apparently he won this set. So if you ever think you can't do it, not only should you think about Hungerbox's run at that one tournament where he lost.
Wait, do you mean MVD won this set?
Didn't he?
No.
Oh, he did
Heavens,
not.
no, he got slapped up this set. This is the set I was talking about. He got
went to
murked.
losers?
Yeah, so he got. That's what I was saying is that MVD winning the whole tournament from this set with Scat because Scat worked him.
It was like
so
a day
I was
one
like, all right,
snake.
well, yeah, it didn't look good, and like I said, it was interesting because at Pound, he forced Mars to get off Mega Man, and his Mega Man looked really strong, but he brought it back. So good for him. Well, I mean, winning from losers is not easy.
It is not. I was under the impression that he had, for some reason, like brought it back, but. There's just like I forget which tournament it is that Hungerbox won. It might have been an Evo, but he did it from losers. And like I always thought when I drop into losers, like okay, Hungerbox did it, even though I'm like a 10th million of like a Hungerbox. But when you drop into losers, it's not over.
Not early. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So come to Papa 3, 2 snakes. You're not seeing it on Wi-Fi. I'm not really either. He's not even really a good character to play on Wi-Fi. I feel.
No, I don't think so.
Like you have the projectiles and the lag. But you also have the projectiles and the lag, not much else.
Well, it's also impossible to aim Nikita.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard if there's lag.
It's just a mess. So, I don't think that we're going to see many more snakes on the top. Do you have any MDVA snakes that you have your eye on? I mean, I haven't even really heard much, personally.
Our we've got two snakes basically. We've got a couple more, but the two big ones are Patharan, who I think is ranked 7 in MDVA. He's pretty good. Just actually recently won. He won the grind this past weekend, beating ZD, which is kind of nice.
That's a win.
Yeah, ZD kind of anti-popped off. He was really frustrated by Snake, and like it got on the subreddit front page and blah blah.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah. It was just him like getting mad and like throwing his controller, but everybody wants to see it. LOL. So anyway, that happened, and we've got another kid named Waluigi, I think, who is like 16. Yeah, it's like that, but it's Waluigi. He's like 16 or 17, but he's taking some names with Snake.
Kid?
Yes.
That really skinny, with its jersey that was by the setups that you were saying he's up and coming. Someone was saying he's up and coming.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Snake player. Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think those are the only two. I think a couple other people, use them, but haven't made any big waves in MDVA, unless I could be wrong. But Snake is a character that I think, I don't know. It's weird to just pick up Snake out of nowhere because you need a lot of time because he plays a totally different game. So either you're devoting a ton of time and that's taking time away from playing with your main, or you just get him because you played Brawl, obviously, which a lot of people, that are playing him now did. So they're kind of cheating, but because he's better in this game than he was in Brawl. So
yeah, I'd say that the Mewtwo Abadongo effect from Pound 2016 was rooted mainly in the fact that Mewtwo was easy to pick up. I mean, like Mewtwo neutral, pretty straightforward. You got your Shadow Ball, you got your Fair, you got your Spot Dodge in the air. But not anymore, so that's that. But Snake isn't a character that really plays like that. So I don't really see it. I don't see him dominating the charts either. He does have those wonky matchups. I won't forget at Pound 2019, I was sitting behind Mr. R, and he was playing Suarez. And Suarez was slapping him up, Yoshi Crom.
Yep.
And it was a game 4 situation, I want to say. And Mr. R switched to Snake, and then Suarez just did not know. He did not know what to do. He didn't know the matchup.
Yeah.
He admitted to it at the very end. It was most evident when Suarez actually got a shield break. He got a shield break with some shenanigans that Yoshi does, right? And on platform, Mr. R, 80%, right? F Smash fully charged would have killed. Anything fully charged would have killed. Suarez threw like a weak net egg into like a sour nair, and none of it worked out. It just like all fell apart. Like that one player that tried to style, I think on Samsora, or it was Mide, someone that got a shield break on a Peach a couple tournaments ago, totally fell apart. Like just like sad trombone. And Suarez just told him at the end, he's like, dude, I didn't know this matchup just jammed me, and I tried to get some momentum going for me and my boys with like some combo, but he couldn't. It was like your basic like Samus bomb into down air, but with some Yoshi stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's a disaster, dude. It's rough.
If you don't know it. Or if you do know it and you're in a Ditto and you have to commentate Salem versus Pelko, Pound 2019. That was a set. That was game 5, dude. Snake Dittos. But yeah, Come to Papa 3 ends with MVD taking it. That's also great for Florida since he actually jokes is not from Florida right now. He's in the Midwest, but he definitely knows all the players he played with before. A lot of history there. MVD, coming from Florida beforehand. Right event, great tournament. Can't wait to see what Papa Mink has for Come to Papa 4. In Orlando, at least, this is one of the events to definitely check out. I know that Tampa has Tampa Never Sleeps. I don't know how big it is currently, but there's a lot of stuff popping up in Florida. So if you ever get the chance, check it out. Florida boys, Florida girls, they're fun. Plus, Melee talent just pops off exponentially with Plop, Hungrybox, and everybody else. So yeah, ready to talk about round robin because I know you're passionate about that, even though nobody on Twitter was this weekend.
Yeah, so the big discussion was about round robin versus bracket pools. I personally am a big proponent of round robin. I really like round robin pools, and I feel like they should be played wherever possible. But I love it. But I have made a concession that it's an issue of time because tournaments are bigger than they've ever been. And then you can have some weird situations like you had this weekend where just the way that things sort of shake out, people can sort of get knocked out of bracket where they really shouldn't.
Yeah, so I saw from, I want to say Akashic. Correct me if I'm wrong. Chat, please correct me if I'm wrong, as you love to do. Akashic posted on Twitter, I think he lost just one set, and it wasn't enough to get him out. If you're unfamiliar with round robin, essentially, anywhere from like right 4 to 6 people, like they all play each other, and so like one person plays that person, etc. Person A plays person C. Everybody gets everybody, and then the best scores make it out. So in a situation where everybody 2-0s each other, a lot of people will tie, except for the people who lost. But if you lose a game and you go 2-1 or you go 0-2 to somebody and everybody else does well, you can actually not make it and get shut out. So I think that was the case for Akashic, a Greninja from Florida, who's actually been on the come up. But
yeah, so I actually just looked it up, and the reason that happened, so he says, lost one set but drowned, wasted time and effort. Captain L says, that's awful, I don't know why tournaments run this. Akashic says, it was my fault for thinking I could go Joker against my bottom seed to warm him up. So he went a secondary against the bottom seed and gave him the win. Now, I get it, losing one set shouldn't automatically disqualify you out of a pool, but the same thing might have happened if he decided, okay, I'm just going to go, I don't know, I'm going to go Joker against my round one, and your round one beat you. You know what I mean?
But then you're in losers, though. You're not out.
You're in losers, but I still... You can lose one set and be out. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but it's a difference in perspective and mindset, because at the same time, maybe you lose that one set, or you lose 2 sets, but you're still in. You're in losers maybe sometimes, or you're still in winners and you get the reset. So I think there are a bunch of considerations, because, I mean, in bracket pools, it does feel bad to, like, lose your first round in the bracket of the actual bracket, and then you're just in losers for the rest of the event, whereas in a round robin, it's like, okay, well, if I lose that set, but I beat the better people, and you make a big upset, you can still be in winners and get a better seed. So it's just, it's really complicated. There's a lot of different pros and cons. Like I said, I personally really like round robin, but I understand why events don't do it.
All right, okay.
I'm just throwing out the fact that he didn't, it's not like he was trying really hard and he, it happened. He kind of screwed around a little bit, and it was a really harsh outcome. Not to say that it should have happened that way, but it did.
Okay, so sympathy, sure, but at the same time, he took a risk, and it didn't pay off. So would you then, you're in the hot seat now, would you agree a 128 person perfect bracket, right? Double elimination bracket is less accurate in determining who the best player is compared to a 128 person round robin bracket? Would you agree or disagree? Because the logic behind round robin is that it gets the best result for the best player because you play the most, right? And you get the most amount of data. But I mean, in this case, like Akasha kind of like blundered one set and didn't get out. I mean, what do you think? Which was the more accurate outcome? I
think there are too many other factors that I would need to know. So, for instance, okay, Myron against Samsora, why was that happening so early? Well, it's because Samsora, he lost pretty early on, and he had to go against Myron because Myron also lost early on. Okay. So, like, those two meeting together because of round robin, that could have happened in bracket pools anyway if they... I feel like the things can shake out either way, and I think that the fact that the top players in the past using round robin pools often ended up being the top players using bracket pools, I don't really discern too much of a difference, honestly. Okay, because then at the same time, Civil War, you get Latai 0. So it's like, round robin or not, you're not going to get necessarily first and second seed on a freeway to the top. Something I think you would agree, though, pool floating, yay or nay? Definitely nay. Meaning, like, you don't play, the top 32 doesn't play until day 2 because they're already slated. Something that I think was proposed around the midpoint of Smash 4 when Melee was on its uppityness. But yeah, top 32, see you day 2, first day, you autographs and meet and greets. That's not the move, right? I would rather they not float, but that's a culture question. Because, like, do you want to... Like, do you want to have the players be... Because we've got the whole celebrity culture thing here now, right? Like, if you're talking FGC, they don't float because one of the big dynamics in the FGC and one of the most interesting, like, parallels between us and them is that when you sit down to play Daigo or you sit down to play Justin Wong, people are sitting down to them and they're like, all right, I'm going to beat this I'm gonna beat this asshole. Like, I'm gonna beat this guy. I'm gonna come in hungry and I'm gonna do it hard. Meanwhile, if you sit down and play Mewtwo King, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's Mewtwo King. I hope I take a stock. He's so big and famous. He's been like." There's a weird celebrity thing in Smash.
This?
Yeah, they would call him Jason. Like, I feel
my
like
God.
when it comes to, you know, round robin pools in Smash, for whatever reason, they seem to be more of a formality than anything. And then also, you've got so many fans. So many fans. So if that's more valuable to the community and the culture at large, that would probably be the play. But again, maybe I'm just kind of a purist. I like the idea, you know, you're entered into the bracket, you're seeded, but everybody starts from zero. I'm personally a fan of that, more so than, you know, anybody getting a free ride anywhere.
Okay, well, the thing is there have been so many cases before where a top 32 seed, even a top 16 seed, either A, misses their flight, which is the unwinnable matchup for most of the top 10, gets sick, day of, day before, oversleeps. So these are three things that are not even involving a bracket.
Yeah.
Or they actually do dramatically and very acutely get upset by, for what many people consider a rando. Yeah. And so because the top 32 isn't exactly a clear cut above the rest, I think until even an S tier, I think S tiers, even when like they're doing the seeding and stuff, everyone's vulnerable, you know, up until like I want to say the top 6-7 seeds. Like besides that, like it could be so tough. Yeah. Especially with like people who don't travel, people who don't you know, necessarily have that data that seeders can like base stuff off of. I know Mr. R is in trouble right now for some brackets, and then it also hurts him because like, dude, I don't want to start at like the 15th seed, right? But again, so I think pool floating probably won't be a cultural thing forever or for any foreseeable future. Sure. If it does happen, it would have to be Melee first because that's where the culture's strongest, arguably. But even that, I just don't see it because people also do want to get that chance to like play Mango and get Shine Spiked at 5 and then like watch him Shine Spike you as he's drinking a beer. So yeah, pool floating, I think that's the only sort of bracket stuff. I mean, I know there's Swiss and some other stuff involved. Double Elim, I mean, it just kind of seems like the way it's going to stay, the way it's going to be. I've always heard of round robin being something people clamor for when it's not there, but then despise when it is. And I was actually surprised to find out that Come to Papa 3 even ran round robin, even though it was close to 500, or at least I think 499 was the final count. Might as well be 500 people. Round robin for that, I'm amazed that they even finished on time. Props to Papa Mink and his crew because like that is actually somewhat of a feat. Like they definitely couldn't have had the setups that like maybe like a Xanadu has because like gosh, that venue's insane. But yeah, like round robin for all of that, that's a schlep, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised they were able to make that work. I think that it depends on what kind of feel your event's going for. I know that Smash and Splash for a long time did run round robin. I don't think they do it anymore because they've kind of acquiesced because, you know, it's a huge event. But round robin is really good if you want to make a more community-focused event. And it's very good to bring in new people because you're not just going 0-2 and then leaving the event. You get more sets with more people, have more opportunities to win. One guy's going 0-2 all across the board, usually, which sucks. But not everybody's doing that because at least you're beating that 0-2. Yeah, well, not really because you can always, like, you can have that thing where, like, you know, everybody wins a set. Just there's that triangle in the 4th, 5th, and 6th seed. None of them are making it out, but all of them went like 1 and 5, you know?
Oh,
that feels kind of good. That feels kind of good for all those guys because they feel, okay, well, you know, I didn't do great, but I won this.
I know where I'm at. I can beat somebody, but I can't beat everybody.
Yeah, and I think that personally, I feel like that's better for... I have a soft spot for those kind of events. That's why I like the Midwest back in the Brawl days because they were much more... Well, even then, like, even way back when, Midwest was always a more community-focused region, more so than the coasts, and they cared about, like, having cool events with, like, side brackets and
Waterfall,
randoms
amateur.
yeah, all kinds of, because they were bad at the game. That's why.
No,
they weren't very good, which is kind of why they did it. But regardless, I thought it was a cool thing, and I really like seeing round robin pools where it can work. But I get why people don't do it.
Yeah, and that's where the philosophy diverges because I actually remember asking Vanilla Thunderbolt, MDVATO,
Yeah.
for Pound. I was like, hey man, because I like, I went 2-2 or 1-2 or whatever. Got slapped by a seagull on stream. And I was like, I kind of want to compete again. I want to keep playing because like Frostbite did $1 8-person brackets like all night.
Yes.
SmashCon does, and Shine just like get 16 people you can play. Genesis does, get 8 people you can play for a t-shirt. And I think that's great because the 0-2 are like that, dude. Like I was never gonna tell I was never gonna make the headline that like MVD or Ally was gonna make, but I could still at least test myself out against like Wisconsin's best, South Florida's own. And that's where round robin really started to gain that sort of momentum within people, not only from like the Midwest, from what you're saying back in the day, but recently where tournaments became more of a spectacle and it's like an experience, and it's like you're gonna pay $80 in reg, get that PTO or just miss work because you're calling in sick day of. I've had smashers literally call their job at the venue and be like, I'm sick, I can't come in. It's like you're gonna do all that and you're gonna pay the awful prices for the food and sleep in 6-person hotel rooms that are made for 2 to go 0-2. That's not the move. So
that's tough. Yeah,
being able to like do the artist alley, cool, do the panels, cool, but then also still play with something on the line. Round robin gave us that for a little bit for some events, but it is also a drag for certain players. But then again, you can't please everybody because it's almost funny. Every top player, in essence, I guess from their position, they would want to play as little as possible to not get exposed.
Oh, it sucks if you're a top player.
Exactly.
Well, not even just to get exposed. So I happen to be pretty good at Brawl and Project M.
Flex.
You 2-0 everybody. You sit down and you're like, hey, can I just run through this pool real quick? Boom, 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 boom. You have to play 5 sets in a row. And, like, I personally liked that because it was a good warm-up, kind of brushed me up. But I know a lot of players that, like, played more than me that would, like, go to tournaments every weekend that were just like, oh, God. It was like a doctor's appointment. It's like, oh, God, I have to do this again. So, like, if you're a top player... Yeah. And, and also you have the issue of, if you're in bracket, you have to get, 3 wins to get into top 32. If you're in round robin, you have 6 wins, and all 6 of those people know that you're in their pool. You have no idea who those people are a lot of the time. Like, so you might run into one guy that has been grinding this matchup against your character nonstop for months, and you have no idea whether you should prepare for him or not. Meanwhile, if you've got, the 3 people, it's like, all right, well, I can beat 3 guys. But if you beat 6 guys, and maybe 2 of them are one of them is a sleeper and got underseeded, and then one of them just super grinds the matchup, it can be a little weird. So like for top players, it is I get why it's dicey.
Yeah, and also it's like the whole time you have to like be present. Like you're a 0-2er, you're a 1-2er, right? You're a stream monster. Like your round robin commitment is very low. But if you're a top player, like you have to worry about every single game. And like it happened for Akashic, like. It was just a B tier, and he kind of, I'll say it, like he kind of threw away that opportunity to like test out how Joker would work against his last seed. It didn't pan out for him, and then it cost him like potentially top 16, top 32 spot. Yeah. So I think top players aren't a fan of it, but then also it does help in certain cases. I mean, you do get more sets, you do get more data, at least like as far as rankings are concerned, but then it also... once you get to the pro bracket, then you're all set up and you're ready to go. So I think we beat it on, round robin. I think that it probably won't make another appearance at an event unless it's like their thing. If Come to Papa sticks to it, I respect it, honestly. If Splash and Splash departed away from it, I understand it. I mean, it's getting kind of wild. I think they might have hit 1,000 people already, but I think it was between Melee and Smash Ultimate. You're going to that, right? I think you're doing... like the main thing for it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to think about it. I was like,
Smash and Splash 5. oh my gosh, I think it's 5. But yeah, like if that's your thing, that's your thing. But
Yeah.
apart from that, I think it's great for the casual, bad for the top player, depending on who you are, bad for the TO in almost all cases. But if you haven't done it before and you hear about it, don't be afraid to commit to it because it is pretty cool. I remember doing round robin before, and I felt like I really got my money's worth. I might have won what I thought I would have won, but I also got to play more instead of just 2 sets and then into a top player, into being nervous or anxiety, into going home. Like it's the better show. So that's round robin for you. Come to Pop before, maybe they run it again, maybe they don't, but I think top players now, or at least Akashic, will be thinking about whether or not they're going to pull anyone out for an exhibition in a round robin, because everything counts. You probably wouldn't do that in double elim either, but whatever, stakes are stakes. So apart from that, to close the show, we have a pretty cool question that we got from the Q&A. Again, if you want to enter the Q&A, all you literally need to do is drop into my DMs and tell me what your question is. This person today did the same, and we're actually going to pull up his question now since it involves top players. So, top players, Coney, how many do you know in your life? Could you count them on your hand? Do you have many? I mean, you practically know all of them?
Well, it depends on what you mean by no. I mean, like I've talked to a lot of them, shortly. Not super long conversations, and I've known a bunch like throughout time, because like I've been in Smash for like a decade now, so I have seen people through Brawl and PM and Smash 4 and now Ultimate. So yeah.
So if you had to choose one top player to survive on an island with for 10 years, who would you choose? That's not the question. This is my question to you, because I'm trying to say who you're closest to as a top player.
As a top player?
Yeah.
Nobody now.
Dang.
Like, I have friends, but like...
Rest in peace, Pink.
Well, you said top player. Like, that's... Poor guy. Like, as a top player, I can't answer the question, because, like, MDVA, like, even if MDVA did have top players, which I guess Wadi had a good run. Wadi and ZD sort of qualify for that. They're a different generation. We're not, like, talking like that. We're not hanging out on the weekends, They're cool people, but... Yeah. I'd be alone on the island and dead in a week, so...
Okay, fair. I choose Mr. R. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brawl pedigree on deck. Smash 4 pedigree also on deck. Finished as 10th all-time PGR for Smash 4.
Yeah.
And it relates to this question, which we got from Lodestar SSB, unless it's Lodi Star, but I'm going to go with Lodestar. He asks, question for SmashCenter, huge fan. Always love when you put that. Really makes the grind that much more bearable. He said, what do you guys think separates the tip-top players? He said tip-top, not top. Tip-top players like MKLeo from so many other top players. Now, there's layers to this question, which is why I wanted to bring it up. Is first off, I like his distinguishing of tip-top from top, because I think Coney, the word top player, the term top player, would you agree, gets thrown around all the time? Like,
it means too many things. It means too many things to too many
people. I got a question for you, since you're like, the historian in Brawl.
Sure.
In Brawl, when would people use the term top player?
The same as they do now.
Do they really?
Yep. So I was considered a top player in Brawl, but I was wow at that. I was pretty good, thanks.
Were you TSM Coney? Were you Liquid Coney?
Well, nobody was any of that. The big sponsorship that we had was VVV.
Were you Clash Tournaments Coney? Because I'm saying.
Well, I was so I was considered a top player, and I was like.
What did you consider yourself a top? Let me ask you that. Did you consider yourself a top?
Oh yeah, because it was perspective. Like everybody, you all thought that you were, but now it's different. But yeah, so it was thrown around sort of the same way that it is now. So you kind of do need that distinction, because to some people, top player means top 5, top 10. To some people, it just means best with a character. Like, some people think they're a top player because they're the 3rd best Game & Watch in the world, and it's like, that means you're getting 97th. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not.
You're not even in the title of the VOD. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's just so. When you distinguish tippy top players, I think that is worth That's worth the distinction because top player gets thrown around a lot. Yeah, and it always has.
Well, I know Lodestar is saying tippy top kind of cheekily, but to me, when people say top player, I know that it's a broad stroke. It means someone who farms their locals but isn't signed. It means someone who is signed that does okay.
Yeah.
It's also somebody who wins an S tier. Like all that top player encompasses, but to me, a top player, it's a little too general. So when I think of it, when I think people are what they try to mean is a career player, if your livelihood depends on the game, I consider you a career player. And I think that's fair and simple in the sense that like this is your job and this is basically all you're doing. You're waking up and going to sleep to play Smash. People that do that, MKLeo, Void, Nairo. Those are, in my opinion, the tippy top. Those are the players that literally like carry the entire brand of their Smash division on their back, and they're on another level. And I like how he mentioned MKLeo and he gave that example. Light, I think, is headed there. He's like within reach. I know that ranking wise he's super close, but Light's still new to the whole like high echelon since like this game is fairly new and his results are still super high but also super new. MKLeo's coming from like the last game into this game, while et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mr. R.
I would definitely call Light a top player at this point because
yeah, at this point, yeah. But not the beginning of Smash 4 though. Is my
oh no, right,
yeah, or not Smash 4. Well, actually both. Ultimate. The beginning of Smash 4 and beginning of Ultimate, he had a claim for it. Now, obviously, he's definitely in there. But at the beginning of Smash 4, when I was taking sets off Light was not a top player. But the thing that people got to really consider is like lifestyle, and I also consider being a top player a lifestyle, and it's somewhat of a difficulty in maintaining because like yes, like Leffen, another top player, also a streamer, content creator, all that. Top player doesn't automatically make you or fill in the blanks for everything else. So like I mentioned Leffen, but like some top players aren't good content creators or some top players aren't good streamers. And there are other people who are good streamers that people consider top players too. And that's like the whole like gray area to it. But I think for my sake, or not my sake, my perspective, like for them, like MKLeo, like they're going to sleep to play it, to wake up to play it again. That's my bottom line. And correct me if I'm wrong, you did not do that in Brawl.
Oh,
right?
No, absolutely not. Nope, nobody did because that was uncool. Like
practicing?
Yes. Yeah. Hell yeah. We talked about it before on the show, and I feel like it gets brought up every week, but like that culture of like grinding and actually caring and trying didn't exist before like Zero did it. It was Zero and Armada that were, because like Seagull tried. Seagull practiced, and everybody in MDVA laughed at him because it was like, you actually try? What are you talking about? And like it was cool to like not own a Wii, to not own the system. But the culture so really changed, and it's totally different now because now you're sort of incentivized to like, but it still exists in some place, and I think that's why people like Mango are so celebrated because like it's just talent. Everybody wants to say that he plays with his heart and he doesn't put hours into the game. It's like there's still that sort of mythos, but it's that was never really a thing back then. But I agree that sort of the difference between the top players is how bad they want it.
Yeah,
because it's you can't compete unless you want it as bad as those guys, and wanting it as bad as those guys means insane dedication to the game. Unless you can just like blow past them with either raw talent, which obviously isn't happening because it would have happened already, and even if you do, they're going to catch you later because they know that you're not going to work hard, or if you can just like really upset them at some point, or if you have like a style counter, which again just isn't going to happen because if these guys are playing day and night, that trick isn't going to work forever. So
yeah, and the other thing too that I want to bring into that is the fact that like it also affects how regional like high tier players view themselves. I definitely know when I lived in New England, there are a couple people that like they consider themselves really good or consider themselves a top player, but they really weren't. And if we look at some of the names of like the top 25 all time for like Smash 4, Zero, all the way down to Mistake, I mean, all these names, most of these people have this as their job, or it's just bigger than their current job. Like they're just, their job is their hobby, and this is their real job. They're just trying to
Yeah.
like sustain themselves. Especially I know in Japan, like because of the whole sponsorship money situation, publisher, issues. Right? They have to sort of like do this in a really weird way, roundabout way, kind of like AMSA. But yeah, all these players, for the most part, like they only play the game to play the game. And I always remember people in other regions because like the possibility of an upset is just too tasty and it's so within reach sometimes. Like, oh, a top
Yeah.
player SDs, especially in the last game with two stocks. Oh my gosh. Like
Oh yeah.
you could have your career made for that weekend if you beat so and so. And for a while at Zero, like that was the defining storyline. But regional players get it in their head. They're like, oh, I can beat this person, this top player, this like Sam Sora, this Larry Lur, this Ken, this Abadango.
Yeah.
But like, if you do, by and large, it's a fluke because
Sure.
if you do it once, great, but like do it again. And if you don't do it again, and you also look at like the time you put in compared to them, like you can't have that highest standard. I feel have whatever standard you want, but at
Yeah.
the same time, like, dude, if you're like, I'll hear Mr. R, like Mr. R and Void were talking. It's like, oh yeah, I was practicing 6 hours. Da, da, da. I'm like, dude, 6 hours of Smash.
That's nuts. Yeah.
Like 6 hours continuous. And like the thing about Smash is that it's not like it's not like a farm simulator. You can't just like place it, go away,
Yeah.
come back. It's not like that mobile game you were playing that plays itself.
Well, also daily. Like
Daily,
not
six
just
6 hours of a fighting game, not an adventure game with content and arcs and this. Like 6 hours of text specific application. Go. Like, dude, that's draining.
it's one thing to do it sort of 6 hours on a weekend with your time off, but when that is your time,
6 hours at a
it's-
fest. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nuts. And I think that the term that a lot of people sort of threw around back in the day was professional. People would say, professional Smash player. Well, what do you do? Well, I win our monthly and win like $300 at once a month. Like that was the thing that everybody said. But now there are professional Smash players. And
Yeah.
that's a totally different thing. And to be the best, you got to put in the same time, and it's really tough because if you want to put in that time, you get no incentive to do it if you're just starting out because nobody's going to pay you for that. You're not going to get sponsored for, you might be a top player in 6 months. So it's really hard to catch up with the guys, and I think that's why kind of Melee has been sort of feeling stagnant for a lot of people for a while because those guys have a decade and a half of experience
They
that you're never going
earned
to catch
their
up to.
stripes.
Yeah, they're just kind of on that throne. So
Yeah. Final point to that, honestly, is like, what was I gonna say? Most of all, they have that aura. Sam Sora has been displaying it a lot recently. Dark Void, like that passion to win is the other part too that I think a lot of people lack when they're talking about like, oh, top player this or tippy top that. Like, it's like weird. Like it's it's very personal. Like if I lose, I'm like, you got me. When you lose, like, oh, okay, cool. This is what we're doing.
It doesn't go. So that's the problem. It's like a killer instinct, and it never goes away. So that's why I don't really like playing the game competitively because I still have flashes of it, and I get mad, but I'm not good enough, and I don't have the time to put in. So if I lose myself to it, I get consumed by it. It is the abyss, and if I keep playing, I'll get. It's a dark place, dude. Seriously, because
Coney?
when you want to win, and when you don't care as much, and when you're just like kind of brushing hits off, and you're like, oh well, I don't know that matchup, whatever. That's one thing. But when you lose over and over and over, or when you're that close to making top 8 at an event, or top 3, or winning the event, like you're talking about with Void, like stuff gets. It's a
weird.
different experience. Yes, it's a
dark.
highly competitive, just very different mindset that you have to sort of cultivate, and you get it by winning over and over and over and by beating people and shattering dreams. And if you don't have that instinct in it, you can't cultivate that. It doesn't work. And like I said, it never goes away. So if you're good at one point and then you're bad later, it sucks because you still have like that's buried inside you at some point. I've talked to so many players that have had that, and some players can sort of get rid of that and not let it get in the way. But yeah, so you have to learn to develop that feeling.
Damn, so you're making me rethink those Wario comments back at your place during Pound. Those really cut deep, huh?
Oh, come on. Come on, dude.
Malcolm,
Come
if you're
on.
watching, you're the better Wario. Anyways, back to the match.
He's played Wario for 10 years. Like, what do you want from me? Jesus.
I remember when people were like, "Oh, I want to make PGR. It's like a goal of mine," but it's like, dude, you have to want to die to win. It's like that crazy. And Dark Void is like the best representation of it, and Dark Samsora. Like Samsora losing to Mr. Bones, that was not okay. And like for Sam, that was not. It's like, oh, you got me. No, it's like that was not good. There was like a brief moment of just like darkness surrounding him, but. That's what we think. Lodestar top players. I mean, it's a whole different. It's a lifestyle. I'll always say that. I consider them career players when I'm talking about top players. Good players. I mean, ought to be down to the 192nd seed at an S tier, like the top players. But like the career players, people that are making this their lifestyle, their brand, all that. They're playing to eat, honestly, and eat and sustain. Because if you're playing at your local to just get Pizza Hut that weekend, that's not real life. I'll tell you that. That's a harsh truth to sort of come by, but that's not real life. You have to be able to save. You have to be able to plan. And Nairo can do that. Nairo bought his own house off of being a top player, career player. And you don't do that out of 33rd at an A tier. So that'll do it for today's Smash Center. Coney, any final words? We don't have any more Q&A. We didn't get saucy in the DMs. We got a bunch, but we didn't get the saucy DMs. Don't ask what you already think we know. Like, ask something that's gonna really put us on our toes. But yeah, Coney, how's everything to close out? You good?
Yep. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be at Thunder Smash this weekend, so watch that.
Oh,
I think it's at
Thunder Smash. Tell us about it,
Smash.
Coney.
Yeah, so that's happening this weekend. Winner gets $20,000 or something. Second place gets $2,000. So it's gonna be kind of crazy. All-star lineup of talent has D1, TK, EE, just a bunch of people that are very good at the commentary thing, and a bunch of players. So yeah, check it out this weekend. It should be good. Long Beach, California.
Long Beach, California. Thunder Smash, right? Or Thunder?
Yeah.
I keep thinking Thunderdome because of the Apex. But yeah, Thunder Smash,
Thunder
you heard
Smash.
it here. Ironically, not PG hard. It hasn't hit the threshold, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to be shocked if it does day of, because SoCal can sometimes do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Smash Center, episode 15. Coney signing off. Want to give your socials, want to give your spiel?
Yeah,
Before you
follow
go.
me on Twitter, ConeyZZ, Twitch Coney. You guys know what's up. Just do that. Yeah. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, thank you, Coney. That was Coney with the episode 15 sign off. It's a suar now. You just get me. We're gonna go ahead and take us to the end. Yeah. So hope you enjoyed the show. Q&A, like I said, not the sauciest. We got a couple things going on in the DMs that interest me a little bit, but that didn't push the envelope. Okay, it was just sort of like, questions that we've seen before, like who do you think is the best character, like. Meta questions are interesting. Player questions are more interesting. Tournament and behind the scene questions, that's where we're at. So just go ahead and make sure anytime you style your DM, you kind of focus on that, because I think Lodestar's question was cool because we get to give that perspective of like, I know this person like travels to get a visa to like compete. Like that's the sort of stuff top players do. So if you're ever curious about that, Coney and I are always open to it. My DMs especially, PG_suar on Twitter. And yeah, if you enjoyed the show on Twitch, go ahead and spam us. Give us some, I don't know, your favorite emote. But if it's on YouTube, or if you're hearing this for the first time on the podcast, welcome. I think we got it up and running for this 15th episode, so you won't hear my tech blunder at the beginning. But for everybody else, thank you for coming. Episode 16 is going to be next Monday, 7 p.m. sharp. We're going to see how this Thunder event plays out. We're also going to see, I think, Umabura, which is set to happen this weekend. So please enjoy all of that and more. If you have any questions, you can always find me on Twitter at PG_suar. And follow PG Stats at the PG Stats and get the latest updates. We always put up the hottest graphics for the hottest tournaments and the hottest results. So go ahead and have a nice night. Tell someone you love them that you miss. And have a good week. And if you're playing Snake because you're inspired by MVD and Ally, please tell us, because we'd like to know all three of you. So have a nice night. Take it easy, and we'll see you next week.